reveal the secrets of any particular person's body, the early anatomy classes with our cadavers did a great deal to get us all used to the intimacy needed to examine and diagnose a person. What I never got used to was the vast complexity of human anatomy. I passed my exams like everybody else. I even went on to teach anatomy at Cambridge for a term. But the sense of how hard it must have been for my predecessors to make the original anatomical discoveries stayed with me. I was doing what they, the early anatomists, had done, cutting up dead bodies. But those plastic models in the doctor's office, it doesn't look like that at all. It's a confusing jumble of tubes and sinews. The question for me has stopped being how is the body put together, and is now why is it put together that way? The early anatomists, the important Italians for example, Eustachius, Vesalius, Malpighi, had to dissect, observe and catalogue with no knowledge of what the liver did or what a nerve was for. It's really hard to imagine a contemporary equivalent, perhaps mapping the outer reaches of the solar system. But astrophysicists do not face either the smell of decomposition or the illegality of obtaining scientific material that the anatomists did. They were in a very real sense uncovering secrets. Secrets that the church didn't want them to know, that many older doctors didn't want them to know, and that the bodies themselves did not want them to know. No one in Renaissance Italy left their body to medical science. When I want to feel better about my inability to tell one part of the body from another, I think of Leonardo da Vinci, possibly the greatest draftsman that ever lived and one of the greatest minds, a phenomenal observer of the human body in every way. And yet, he never entirely figured out how the heart and circulation worked. This is probably the only human organ whose function you can understand from simple macroscopic inspection. It still works after death to some extent. If you go to the butcher's shop and buy a beef heart and fill it with water from the tap, it will still pump blood in the right direction if you squeeze it. But even the great Da Vinci could not quite work out the order of valves and chambers, such is the stringy, fleshy complexity of it. Learning anatomy with our cadavers was a geography lesson. The rivers and mountains of the body all labelled and connected. It was a vast quantity of information. In the foot, there are 26 bones. Taken out of the foot and held in the hand, they look like pebbles on a beach. They do not have a particular discernible function, and yet, assembled, you can see that they sit together the way that a stone bridge holds together. In your foot, you have a keystone, the navicular bone, a miraculous example of biological engineering. I felt like I had acquired a lot of secret knowledge in that first year, and all in Greek and Latin, so it felt doubly secret. I had begun to speak a language that my non-medical friends could not. And if you can draw the chambers of the heart and the valves and label the flow correctly, as most GCSE biology students can do, then you're doing better than the smartest man in 17th century Florence. In studying anatomy, you feel like you're approaching a complete catalogue of the secrets of the human body. After all, if you know every road and house and place of interest in London, then you know London, right? Of course not. There are other kinds of knowledge that are far more secret. Doctors are in the business of keeping secrets. We keep them about our patients. All the details of a medical consultation, no matter how mundane, are confidential except in very unusual circumstances. Patients rarely confess to murder or plan to deliberately spread their deadly diseases. So although these potential dilemmas are popular among medical students determined to imagine their careers will be difficult in exciting ways, the secret keeping pretty much boils down to not talking about what you heard. Why is this so important? Because knowledge makes us vulnerable in many ways. Secrets must be kept not because they are illicit or shameful, but because they can be exploited. Your business competitors, employers, insurers, bank, and maybe even relatives are all in a position to exploit knowledge about your body, your fertility, your risk of future illness, your health fears, and the limits of your abilities. Medical confidentiality isn't just about privacy, shame, or discretion. It's about vulnerability to exploitation. That is why this book is not an anatomy book. The secrets we're interested in lie deeper. Your body is in the business of keeping secrets from everything that wants to exploit it. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, larger predators, and crucially, other people. All these things are constantly probing our bodies, looking for weaknesses and opportunities. We survive by not giving anything away that we don't absolutely have to. And this book